I'm Annie Blair. I'm Annie Blair, the project manager for the improvements to Edna Bynoe Playground for Boston Parks and Recreation. And some of you are familiar faces and some of you are new faces, which is terrific. But I want to thank all of you for giving us your time this evening. We really appreciate the input. We've had great input all along. First meeting was full of ideas and neighborhood knowledge and very well attended. We had a site meeting outdoors at the height of the summer, which was also very helpful. The second meeting was sparsely attended, but thank God there was clear consensus rather than a couple of people with very different ideas. And then it looks like we're getting a good turnout for this meeting. So again, we really appreciate your time. And next slide, thanks. So we're going to be recording the meeting and posting it to the project webpage so that people who haven't been able to attend or can't attend tonight can go take a look at it. It's also possible that participants at home may be recording the meeting. And if you don't wish to be recorded during this meeting, please keep your microphone and camera turned off. And next slide. So here are some tips about how to participate. During the presentation, you can, if you're accessing this through the web, you can turn your video on and off. And then there are nonverbal options to click on at the bottom of the screen, and they'll pop up in the sidebar. If you're joining us via phone, and Val, I saw your number come up, so I'm so glad that worked out. You can hit *9 to raise your hand to ask for permission to join in the conversation. And then via web, you can chat or raise your hand with the hand icon for audio video permission to do the same. Next, please.
I'm sorry, Val, I see your hands up, but we're gonna allow you to speak once it gets to the Q&A part.
Okay, thanks. So I'm going to introduce the project team and give an overview of the project. Michael Clutchman from BSC Group is going to do the presentation, and then together we'll do the listening and discussion, and then next steps. So as I said, I'm Annie Blair. Christine Brandeo is the outreach coordinator, and she's the man behind the curtain making all of this work. Jason Gant has been a great source of information along the way. He's with the Office of Neighborhood Services. And then from the design team, there's Ricardo Ostrich and Michael Clutchman, both from BSC Group. So we had our first of 3 community meetings in May, the second one in June. At the second one, we presented 3 design alternatives and had comments on all of those, plus, as I said, clear consensus about which one was preferred. And then we took that design and the comments that we heard and used it to inform what Michael's going to show us tonight. And then over the fall and winter, we'll develop the design further in detail and come up with a construction documents package for bidding. So we're hoping to start construction in the spring of 2022, assuming that we get a bidder that comes in within our budget and that it's a successful bidder. There aren't any protests from other contractors. Have the construction go through the summer and into the fall and open at some point in the fall. So we have 2 sort of sets of goals. One is from the city overall, and also the Parks Department has specific goals. So the City of Boston's initiatives are important to us. Park and Rec goals, community input. We've done our best to listen and respond to what people have said. And then safety guidelines and environmental regulations. So next, thanks. And what the city hopes to achieve is access for people of all ages and abilities, equity, climate resiliency, health, and community. And then the Park and Rec goals are that also that it be accessible and available to all, that there be diverse, balanced, and efficient mix of uses to serve the population well, meaningful and inclusive community engagement, adaptive and resilient landscapes, because this park design and equipment and furniture is expected to last at least 20 years. And to promote connections and community building. And Michael, I think I'm going to turn it over to you at this point.
Great. Thank you, Annie. Again, Michael Clutchman with BSC Group, project manager, landscape architect. So just, we've shown this slide in every meeting, but just to orient folks of where the project is, in this red rectangle here is the area of the existing Edna Bynoe playground near the Orchard Garden School, Boys and Girls Club, and then also just showing the proximity of other open space parks, Ramsey Park and Clifford Playground in the city of what's in the area. And again, these are slides we've shown every time, but we're just sort of reviewing our process. This is the aerial view of the existing playground area between Du Bois Street, Adams Street, and Keene Street. Just colored to show existing what's going on. The green space, the green colors are grass areas. The orange is pavement circulation area. The existing playground in purple on one side, but also within that fenced area is the blue water play area and the existing sand play area in the entrances of the two gates that get into that. And then just the aerial shows the adjacent courts and ball field and residential housing and other buildings around the outside. We've noticed before, but the site conditions, we all know the playground is seen a lot of wear and is ready for replacement and a refresh and really a new look and a new equipment. So this is just showing the various views from entrance to the playground at Adams Street, park entrance into Adam and Du Bois at the corner, the existing water play area, which is really in need of replacement. The fixtures are old and surfaces are cracked. Swings in the area here. Again, there's more up-to-date swings that are more accessible, and also the surfacing needs an update for safety. So we're looking at, on the upper left here, combination of the surfaces, existing swings, where it's not really accessible, and there's some fall surfacing here, but it's not continuous, and the slopes are uneven. The condition at the bottom of the existing slide is too close to existing concrete here, so again, not a safe condition. But this is the existing lawn areas, which we preserved in some of the designs, and just another view of the playground. View of the sand play structure. Boston Parks is not supporting these sand play facilities for health and safety reasons, so this will be going away as a feature. Again, the conditions, this water play feature, which we know is really seen its better days, and Other things, just a drinking fountain, which we will preserve a drinking fountain. So to take one step back, at the meeting in the summer, over the summer, we had worked up 3 options for the layout of the new playground. Pretty much in the same general location as where it is now within the park, but just 3 different approaches of how things could be organized and what kind of equipment could go in. And we went in detail. Each concept had a certain set of equipment, like in option 2, this was a very large climbing structure and it kind of dominated the whole site. And this option 2 is not a preference, but it was good to just sort of see how that might fit. Option 1 kept the footprint within the existing fence. And we liked this one enough, but what we found is we really couldn't get all of the new equipment in that we wanted. It didn't really fit because of these little dashed lines around the outside are the fall zone for safety. So you can't have the equipment any closer than these sort of imaginary dashed lines are, and swings and new equipment actually have a pretty good area around them that need to be clear. So the overall preference from that last meeting was option 3. There were some comments of things that could be improved, but basically the consensus was that we liked having a little more space in here for more equipment. We liked that on one side was equipment for older age group, 5 to 12, both swings and climbing and spinners. And on the other side was really dedicated to the 5 to 12, both toddler swings and smaller climbing. And then over to one side that would really accommodate both was a new location for the spray pad. So anyway, so 3 was the preference. And so that's what we continued to develop for the preferred design, which we can look at now.
Michael, I'm going to interrupt for a second. Yep. Because the 5 to 12-year-old play area is up above, but it's 2 to 5-year-old below.
Oh, I'm sorry if I misspoke. You're correct. That's what I meant. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so above is the 5 to 12 and below is the 2 to 5. Yes, thank you very much. So the age separated by age group. So here's our preferred design. Looks a lot like the option 3. Small things. There was a preference during the meeting for some of our younger participants really liked the spinners and the things that move. So we found a way to add another one. One is one you stand up on, one is you sit down on. So we found a place for another spinner. We also, in the previous version of this, had a very structured wall that went around to protect. This is the existing tree we're preserving. And like we had added a few climbing boulders, we had talked to the group last time about that in the spray pad, and we thought that would be fun. We've used those same idea of boulders that, one, protect the existing tree, but also add another climbing sitting element within the park. There are benches for sitting, more traditional seating areas, a little shade structure in one area over here on the left. Again, we've moved the fence out to pull in a little more lawn and green area within the fence so that, you know, if you wanted to have a picnic or something and be within the fence while the kids are running, you could do that as well. More fences along Adams Street. And then we've also added a seating area just outside the fence. So with tables and chairs could be used for all ages and groups who might want to play a game or again, have a picnic or spend a little time, but just not right within the fence with the kids. Over on the right here, you'll just see a legend which just shows that this, for instance, these kinds of trees here with the sticks are the existing trees. The The green ones are new proposed trees. All the trees will have leaves. It's just a way of showing the two different kinds. Proposed benches, tables, boulders. This surfacing in here, the blue and the green, the colors are not finalized, but this is all the resilient, it's a rubberized surfacing, so it's all the same level, but it's all cushioned, and there's a lot ups and downs or loose fiber material. It's all a solid poured rubberized surface. The gray area is pavement. We're either preserving existing pavement or having a paved area that runs through a pathway that runs through the middle of the playground. And then the lighter green is existing lawn that will be preserved or improved as necessary with the construction. So now I'm going to show you some pictures of what it will look like. We'll start looking from this way. So this is the plan. We can go back here and talk about what's in what location, but really I decided to show you some views of what it could look like, because that really saves a lot of explanation. So I'm going to start with that. So I'll leave this up here for a few minutes, but this is looking with Du Bois Street to our backs. So again, on the left here is the shade structure I was mentioning. Off to the left is the 5 to 12-year-old, the older kid equipment. So there's a swing that can accommodate a group of kids playing together, one kid. And what's also interesting about this particular swing, because the swings take up a lot of space because of that fall zone I was talking about, is this swing also is accessible in that it allows somebody in a wheelchair to make a transfer onto it. So it's the idea of having the playground equipment really accessible to as many people as possible. What you're also seeing is the tree in the middle is the existing Zelkova tree that will preserve with these climbing sitting boulders around it. In the background, you're seeing little water jets. That's the new water play area. And then off to the right, we'll get some more views, is the 2 to 5, the younger children climbing. But this gives you an idea of, so again, we're seeing the safety surfacing and a whole new playground. This view is looking the other way, towards Du Bois Street. So we've turned it all the way around. So on our left now, we have the toddler swings with, again, this play structure is designed for 2 to 5-year-olds. To the right is those boulders and the tree we were talking about. And then we're seeing one of the spinner things that moves around. This is when you sit in and can be spun around. And then that group swing in the background again. Slightly different views, same sides, looking back towards Du Bois Street, but looking now to the right a little bit. So we see the existing tree, but we see the new water play area. So we have ground jets that can have activators on the ground or there, but the water comes out of the ground and sprays up. And then we've worked in this idea of some climbing boulders and having the surface a little more interesting around the water play. So it's not just a couple jets. And then finally, this is looking with the ball fields behind us, back towards Adams Street. And the idea on this view is, again, we're seeing the spray area. But in the front here, this is the 5 to 12-year-old climbing structure. So not only sort of traditional platforms and slides, but then there's the idea that you can get on this climbing thing and try to make a whole journey from one end to the other with these different ropes and climbers and things to get across, to get up over the platform. And then also this slide, like I said, the slides and the traditional platforms. And we can go back to these views because I think it really is sort of the best way to understand. One thing I also will mention as we go, we can come back to it, is the colors are not completely finalized, but we did start thinking about the colors of the equipment, and we were really inspired by the surrounding housing, the different pastel colors the architects had chosen for the housing. We thought was very successful and really cheerful. So we wanted to reflect some of those lighter pastel colors in the equipment itself. Right now we have sort of one color scheme for the 5 to 12 and another color scheme for the 2 to 5-year-olds. That's sort of how we're seeing is maybe helps the areas sort of define each other and just doesn't make it all the same, but that's, you know, part of the discussion tonight we can have is the colors. Now I'll just quickly look at the particular equipment, a little more detail of the equipment. The colors again are more what we're thinking about is on the renderings you just saw, but I just wanted to show you. So again, when we're just looking at the 5 to 12 play structure, has the platforms, it has a double slide here for 2 children or children can go down together, and then another sort of open tube slide there. Climbing platforms, and again, this sort of series of things that move to climb across, things you have to navigate with these pipes, and then these are set on cables, these little stepping stones, so you have to hold on and make your way across. The 2 to 5 play structure has a similar idea, but designed for smaller children to sort of climb and move around. Smaller 2 different slides to come down and a little climbing slope to get up. So that's that structure. Talked about they call it the oodle swing, but that's the one that, here's a picture of how a group of kids can use the swing at once, and also the idea that it can be accessible. The spinners I was talking about, this is the one we have where you stand up, 1 or 2 people, probably even 3 small people can get on and spin around. And then this chill spinner is the one we had in the picture of where you can sit down and use it. And then traditional, in a way, toddler swing designed for the younger folks with the bucket swings. And we'd shown some of these pictures before, but here's the idea of the spray pad with the spray jets coming up, an activator post, and we have the idea of the boulders in our spray pad, but you can see in this one, there's also, it is possible to make this surfacing have a little topography, and we may, depending on the final design, play with that a little bit of having a little topography in the rubberized surfacing. An idea of the shade structure we were looking at is on the bottom left. We don't want to have a sort of open, a closed permanent roof where somebody might decide to set up long-term, but having openings with slats to prevent the sun for people using the playground is the kind of option we're looking at. Tables and chairs, these are the ideas of the game tables off to the side, very sturdy, fixed in place, but more designed for having a conversation or a game. And then steel benches, again, probably painted into a color scheme that would match everything else within the fence and around the site for folks to sit. And
Michael, we should mention again that we would have a center rail, a center handrail.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so that's typically, these have an option. So just like there's rails here, there's options that have a center handrail, which does 2 things. One, it makes it easier for somebody who has trouble getting up to get up because they have 2 places to grab. And then also, importantly, is it makes it less comfortable or possible to be a bed for somebody to lie down on. so that people aren't easily, we do see it, but easily encouraged to sleep there. Sometimes you do see people even so, but this really prevents it being a very comfortable place to lie down. Now I think we'll turn it back to Anne. We can talk about what we just saw. We can put up some of the pictures, and love to hear what people think.
I know that there was a question about how tall the water jets could be, and that's up to us. We can manipulate it, and it kind of depends on who most of the users are. You'll see that in this image, it's really it's really geared towards that toddler.
Mm-hmm.
And also how much water we want to use, because these aren't recirculating systems. The water just goes down the drain.
Yeah, but they are, right, you can adjust sort of both the volume of water and the height. There's all kinds of adjustments.
I'm gonna let Val unmute herself first since she's on the phone. Val, once I hit unmute, you should be able to hit *6 and unmute yourself.
Yes.
We can hear you.
And you had a question for me?
No, I wanted to know if you had any comments, just because you're over the phone.
No, I'm following it.
Okay.
I can't see it, but I'm following. I have an idea what you're doing, but I saw the drawings.
Bill, do you want me to mail them to you? A hard copy?
Yeah, could you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, could you?
Yep.
Mara, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. I just have a quick question. And I was listening in and had two questions about the gaming tables. Are there some, I know they're set in stone, so is there a way that those tables also have an area where they're handicap accessible?
Yeah, a lot of the time what we do is instead of putting 4 fixed seats around the table, we put 3, and that leaves room for a wheelchair to pull up.
Okay. And then as far as the water pad, a lot of our older kids in our DREAM program utilize that during the summer. So I just want people to be mindful of that, because I know right here in the picture is really geared to the younger kids, but I really want to keep in mind that we do have a program for our preteens that utilizes that park a lot in the summer.
Oh, that's great to know.
Yeah.
I think also what we can do is put the jets on a sequence, so that, some jets can be higher than others. And it will, go to this jet first, that jet second, the other jet third. And that way you get more variety out of it.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think sort of the water being exciting and moving around, and I think all kids, really of all ages, really enjoy that. It doesn't have to be a little trickle. I think the more interesting you can make it, I think it's more fun. So,
and also with a lot of these systems, if the jets are going and a kid steps on one jet to essentially shut it down, it'll make the other jets go higher.
Annie, you have a question in the chat.
So this is the question about people bringing dogs inside the playground. And is there any way to include something to hang out for dogs away from kids? So that means essentially installing a dog park elsewhere in the overall park. And I've just been doing some research on it. So there are 2 criteria for dog parks, actually 3. Number 1, we don't combine small kids or any kids with dogs, so it would have to be completely separate. We also need a minimum of 5,000 square feet in order to make the surface resilient. And it also needs to be a certain number of linear feet away from adjacent homes because of the odors. So we haven't got space on the site, on the overall site, in order to accommodate that and make it maintainable. And I'm sorry to give you that news because as I understand it, there's no other place close by that really accommodates a dog park. You know, there's not a designated dog park close by. But we looked at it and couldn't find a good place to do it here.
Annie, Val has her hand up. Val, you should be able to unmute yourself. Star 6 again.
Yeah, I do have a question about the dog park. We don't allow dogs in the park anyway, even though they're there, because they play games over there, and the kids, the school kids use it during the school year, the field and stuff. We just got to make sure we have signs up that say no dogs allowed.
Yeah, there should be signage now that that says no dogs allowed. And I just saw the comment.
We need to put them so they can see them.
Yeah, okay. I just saw the question about how about the fenced in space across the street? And that's the other side of Keegan, right? At the end of Du Bois. I can look into that and see who owns that property.
It's sort of under this label, but over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might be able to see it on one of your pictures, Michael, on one of your earlier photographs, your site images, maybe from the winter.
It's off.
Zoom in.
Yeah, it's off to the right here. Up, so across the corner here. This area, I believe, is what we're wondering.
I can see if that's park property. My guess is that it is not. So it may mean talking to whoever the owner is.
Where are you? I'm not clear where you're talking. What area you're talking?
So this would be, if you were looking at the corner of Adams and Keegan.
In Hampden Street.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's across, so it's opposite the playground. It's not connected to the park. It's just to the east of Keegan Street.
Are you talking about Keegan and Hampden?
Hampden.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not our property. And I believe someone's getting ready to build on that property.
Val, do you know who's involved in that? So
I have notes in my office, I can tell you.
That'd be great, just to confirm. I mean, it's kind of surprising it's not built on now.
I think they're waiting for the permits in the city. You know how long the city takes.
Yeah. Well, ISD just opened up. How are people feeling about the play equipment?
If it's what we discussed, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Folks can feel free to unmute themselves. The groups are smaller, so you should be able to unmute yourself freely.
Does anybody have any concerns about the boulders in the water area?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Peggy. I'm the secretary. With the benches, is they wide enough, spread wide enough so the kids' hand won't get caught up in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. And they're used all over the city and adjacent towns without any problem. I know once I was spending some time with my godson and his family at one point, and he was 3, I think, and there was a pipe sticking out of the ground, and he jammed his thumb in there and it got stuck. It took us forever to get him free, and then he immediately did it again. So we're all pretty aware of that. I think we should also note that right now there are just 2 existing swings. So we're adding swings to that, which I think will make the playground much more useful. So I'm not hearing anybody wailing and moaning and gnashing their teeth about this.
So, no, you need to ask the tough questions about when can this be done and how long is it going to take? And because we're gonna, if everybody's happy with it, we're gonna start going as fast as we can to get this fully designed and you know.
Well, we're looking forward to you moving quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put pressure on us. We like that.
Yeah, you know I will.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a complicated bid package to get out. You know, there's some utility work to take into consideration, but overall it's pretty straightforward. I will say that pricing can be tricky right now because there's a shortage of a number of supplies because of COVID, plus that giant ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal and backed things up. But BSC Group has been carrying a sizable contingency so that, you know, given the prices that we know now, we're pretty comfortable with the idea that what we've shown you, we can accomplish.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. I should also say that one thing we were talking about today is, you know how around the playground, it's black chain link fence right now? Mm-hmm. And the fencing all around the park itself is black steel picket. If there's a way that we have enough money to replace the chain link fence around the playground with more of the steel picket fence, and maybe we can't put that in the base bid, but maybe we put it in as an add alternate, which means that if the prices for the base bid come in low enough that we can add more fencing to it, we'll see if we can accomplish that. I can't promise anything right now, but I think that would be a really good upgrade to the playground itself.
That sounds good.
So again, this is, like Anne said, is being recorded and be up on the city's website. And so, I mean, and these images in particular are probably good to post so people can remind themselves of what we're trying to do here.
Yep. Well, I don't want to take up more of your time than you want to give. But if you have further questions or comments, I think that you all have my phone number. And like I said at the beginning of the meeting, we really appreciate your insights. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.